and welcome back for more Space Engineer Survival. There's a couple of things we got to do because we've run out of projected track. Oh, welders are on, welders are on, welders are on, welders are on, welders are off. Really need to get that sensor done, but I don't think I've got the parts on me right now. We need to update the blueprint for the track, so let's go Control B. Now, when we look, we should have, a whole bunch more. Excellent. We'll be able to keep doing that until we get to the top. It was also pointed out to me that I messed up the drills. They should have a 2-block gap in the middle, which I did not do, which is sort of a problem. It means I'm going to have to go and drill through the entire way on my way back. Now, how many plates do I have? Oh, we're almost out of plates. Okay, well, maybe it's time to go back anyway. So let's widen the drills out, which won't take much. We're going to take off this one, take off this one, and instead of being on that spot that it was on, we go for here. Now we're going to need to place these drills yet again in a different spot once we've drilled out the whole thing properly anyway, because what I want to do is expose the underside of the track, or expose the top side of the track as much as the underside of the track is here, and vice versa. The start, I'd done it the opposite way around, because these wheels are definitely clipping into some of these voxels, which is just not great. So we will fix that as we go as well. Now, we don't have many plates, but we do have some. Maybe we'll just weld until we run out, and then we'll head back. Actually, how much power do I have? 2 hours. I'm good for power too. When the tram line is finished, I'm definitely going to be moving faster than 3 meters per second. This would be quite painful. This would actually be somewhat slower than walking, I suspect. I reckon I could walk all the way, or run all the way around up onto the hill in a faster time than if I moved the tram at this speed, even though the tram takes a more direct line to get to the solar axe. I don't think it'll make a big difference, but I'm going to add a couple of spotlights to the front. Actually, it might make a bit of a difference. At least while driving at the moment, it's much nicer. With the drills active, it's a bit mixed. I can certainly see a lot further ahead, but I just can't see it very clearly. Uh-oh. I did a boo-boo. I have driven off the end. And I'm not sure I can get back up. Let's try this. If I kind of use the gyros and the wheels together, can I do it? Come on. Come on, you're so close. Maybe if I grab these and go friction up to 100. Is that going to be enough to do this? Come on. It seems I ran out of steel plates, which is why I drove off the end. And here was me going, oh, I'll have plenty. I'll be able to get to the end. Dope. You were wrong, Splitsie. You were wrong. Come on. Oh, that was so close. Let's do it again. Oh, I wonder if this will work with my... Come on. Come on, baby. Yes. Nice. Whew. Let's put our friction back to 60%. Alright. Time to drive home. Now, I think I've got the parts I need to put a camera on the back of this. And I think our drive home will be more pleasant if we pop at least 1, but probably 2 spotlights on here. This will work.
Fuel low.
Oh,
Fuel critical.
I have run out of fuel. Can I get at that camera without getting off? There we go. Yes! Yeah, tricksy hobbitses. Let's grab our reverse camera, view, and view. Oh, this is going to be a much better view going home. Let's do it. Let's going to be confusing because our controls are reversed, but this should be a much more exciting way to go home. And because I can pan with the camera panning mod, I can actually look around. Though that just makes me more ill than anything else. So obviously this track is quite dull for this long straight section. And a few people have mentioned some ideas that they think would be fun to make it a bit more interesting. One of them was to put some billboards or things like that along it. Another one was to put the museum displays along here. I'm not going to do that one because I do want to have a big walkable museum. But another idea that I really am keen to do, just for the amusement factor, is put in a lava pit somewhere along there. So just like we've got on the silo, have another lava pit there, because I think that would be kind of fun. Oh dear. We're out of iron. That's not good. I just put 6,000 more plates in here, but then we're kind of starting to run low. This next projection is going to be the last in this very long straight stretch of track, which is actually about 1 kilometer long at the moment. I'm going to need to stop probably somewhere about here, I think. So I don't think I'll be able to do my left bend and then flatten off and then get aligned with where I need to be. Because ideally I would have come in straight like this, but that's just not going to be able to happen. And so what I will probably end up doing is instead intending to come in straight across like this. Can I do that? Or is that not going to work either? Am I going to be able to make a 90-degree bend? I suppose I could do a rotor-based one. I could flatten off. So I could do my 2 left turns, then I could level off, then do a 90-degree bend and line up. It's tough. You know what I might do? I might actually try and see if I can align myself to this original station orientation. So what I'm going to need to do is, I reckon I'll stop digging by the projector now. So let's first go to our terminal of this one. We'll turn our projector off. Battery fully depleted in 4 days. If I turn the projector on, how long? Still 4 days. Guess they don't use it. Oh well. I can turn our antenna off now too, can't I? I'll leave it on just in case I need to use it at some point. So what I'm going to do is, first off we need to make those couple of little adjustments left so that we end up with ourselves back on the level, because currently we're still at that awkward orientation. Then, once I've done that, I'll be able to try and make my curves so I line up to the station we're in. So the first thing I'm going to do is make our left bends. And as someone pointed out to me, and I was a complete dope for missing this, if we go into our cleanup, which I'll do in just a second, you'll see why I can safely do this and I don't need those curves around the outside. If we go to Alt F10 and go to trash removal, you'll see that fixed stations are not in the cleanup. Therefore, no matter how small a block these are, they will never get cleaned up, which means my lights along the roadway to the mine will never get cleaned up, even when they run out of power, which is awesome, because that means I can replace their batteries and get them functional again. Now, I can't use the drill pistons just yet, because I'm not fully aligned to this piece of track. And since I'm going to be putting quite a few bends in here, I don't actually want to make this bit of track all that long. I want to make it as short as I can get away with. So basically, actually I probably could have even made it shorter than that. I could have put a turn in again. Well, I kind of like the idea of having both ends on a piece of track before I move on to the next. Come to think of it. Even though I could probably make it tighter than that. Man, so much quicker doing it this way than having to build that little arch around it. This should allow me to fiddle around with curves much more easily. Now let's see if once we've done this, we're on a relatively flat, or at least if we're oriented to the horizon nicely rather than twisted like we had been. Where's our artificial horizon? Oh, there's just the tiniest little bit of twist there, isn't there? It's not too bad though. We could probably fix that. Now, what have we done? We've made a little bit of a curve to the left. Not quite steep enough. I'm going to have to be quite a long way underneath, and the elevator to push the car up into the station is going to be quite large. But I didn't do too badly because I'm fairly close to the surface here. If I'd aimed much higher, I reckon I would have ended up having to pop back somewhere around here where it's a bit lower. Or there would have been a pretty high chance of that, but this isn't too bad, considering. I think there's probably some much better ways of attempting to align these things that I might try and utilize when I head off to the silo. What we'll do is we'll try and level off to the ground so that I just have some left and right turns trying to get into position for aligning to the station. Oh, wait a second. I don't know why I'm so worried about aligning perfectly to the solar axe. I just have to be kind of close enough. Because it's not actually going to merge onto the same grid or anything like that. It'll all be attached as subgrids anyway. So that gives me a little bit of extra play that I don't have to have things quite perfect. I think I know what I can do. Okay. So what I want to do is make sure that the next bit of track is perfectly lined up with gravity. I think it'll be a soft enough transition. The only way to align something perfectly with gravity is to press B and align it. But that then also puts this half block the wrong way around. But if I do this, get my full block, it's still lined up pretty well with the track. And instead of lining it up in line with the track, I line it up so it's half height. That's about half. And line up that corner. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, I just pushed it to... Oh, that would have been perfect as well. Best part is, this also fixes the twist. So if we can get this working right... So let's go back to our full block. So we're lined up with this one. Press B. And because we're looking straight down the line of the track, it also has the left-right orientation correct. So let's try this again. Let's get that down to about halfway. That's where that grid is, so... Okay, this should be right this time. If I go to about there. Let's see where the half block goes. See if I've gotten this right. Bit too low. Yeah, that's going to be a bit rough going in the downward direction. But this is kind of the idea that I'm going to work off. Have I got it right this time? No! Okay. That gap may be too much. I think we try it anyway. So that's pretty close. A 1x1 wheel won't drop down there. And now we are actually perfectly aligned with gravity. This is exactly how we want it to be. So all we have to do is lefts and rights from this point on, which is great. Wish I'd thought about this earlier. I wouldn't have freaked out so much about how I was going to line things up with the station. Oh, I think I also know what it's not liking. I left those blocks in the way. There we go. That's better. I can't believe I left those in. I was looking at everywhere else instead of looking at where I needed to be looking. So, drills on. Welders on. Park brake off. Wrong controls. Gonna need to do a little bit of hand drilling here again. You can see why I need to do that hand drilling with the way that the drill ends up going through much more of the ceiling than it does of the floor as we go around that tilt, which is, you know, what you would expect. So if we put another couple of blocks down, I reckon that'll be enough for that section, and then we'll be able to start making our turns trying to align up with where the solar axe station will be. I think we have to go up the top end and drill down now, because I can't really visualize where I've got to get to. Alright, the ugly duckling is loaded up with some extra hydrogen, just in case, and some steel plates. Not that I really need a great deal of those for what I'm about to do. Is it just about to be dawn, or is it just about to be night? It is just about to be night. Wonderful. Just what I didn't need. Why couldn't I have timed this better? I should have been up here during the day. Why are you on fire? The rest of you seem to be intact, so maybe only one of you got damaged. Maybe there was an attack that I couldn't hear while I was down in the tunnels. I didn't notice one, but it's possible. The reason I brought the ugly duckling is it has a drill, and I can use it to drill down. I was going to bring the nugget, but figured the ugly duckling was probably a better option since, you know, it can do some drilling for me rather than having to do it all by hand. I could totally just put a passenger elevator in, but we've already done one of them. Let's do something different. That's why I think we'll, despite it being kind of ridiculous, we're going to do the whole move the track and tram up on the elevator thing. I think I've drilled down far enough now, or at least close enough, that I can lay down a stretch of blocks that will be my guide for what I've got to line up to. And at some point I may end up starting at this end and going towards it, but I honestly think it doesn't make it any easier. In fact, it probably makes it harder doing it that way. I think the easiest is to have one point here that's fixed, that I know exactly where it is, and I just try and get to it. And I may have to adjust as I go a few times, but trying to bring two pieces to one point that I don't even have a marker for is not any easier than bringing one point to a place that I do have a marker for. And that marker is these blocks. So from our tunnel, we can make out those blocks that are over there at the solar axe, and we know where we've got to line up to now. Alrighty, let's head out of here. That's all we need to do at this end. Now we're going to go back, get the tram up to the top, and try our best to line up. There we go. That gives us a bit of an idea of what I've got to attempt to do. I don't know that we'll be able to line up fully properly. It's going to be very tight. But I'm going to try anyway. I think what I'll do is do a couple of... Wait, I'm upside down, so a couple of left-hand bends and then try and do an arc with the rights that lines up just where I want to be. We'll see if I can actually manage it. So I was just thinking, I may be aligned with gravity on the horizontal, but I'm not going to be aligned block-wise to the base. So I may be like half a block off from it, but that shouldn't matter because I'm going to have a piston lift, and the piston lift can just correct for that last little bit that I need it to correct for. So I worried myself, and then I realized I didn't need to worry. I think that last one might have been too tight. There we go. Because we've turned so tightly, the drills are too far out front, and this side is not getting drilled out properly. The wheels, I think we're getting stuck in it. You can always come through with more broadly spread out drills later and make this all look pretty, but I think for the moment, focusing on less clang is a much smarter move. Do you know what I think I might eventually do? Is I reckon I should come through with a big drill head and kind of hang all of these tracks from suspension or from blocks suspended in the roof. I needed to do it this fine to begin with so that I could do the alignments the way that I have. But once that's done, I'd probably be better off clearing this out so that the tunnel is actually much bigger. I don't think Clang would let me go this fast though. Maybe half this speed would probably be the absolute top before things became incredibly unreliable. So the reason I'm flying is because I just went and collected a bunch of extra hydrogen because I was getting a bit low and it seemed like the quickest solution. If I'd realized I was going to use up so much hydrogen while I was building the track, I would have put a hydrogen generator onto the tram, but kind of didn't expect this. Maybe I should have. This is an area where I'm expecting to go back and forth and modify things quite a few times to get it right. I just can't think of a way to easily measure this out. I mean, I suppose what I could have done was build sort of a corner setup like this with rotors and... Oh no, that wouldn't have worked either because I couldn't use projections. I'm entirely expecting in the comments section of this video to be suggested something that would have been a far easier way of doing this that I just missed. But I've been racking my brains trying to come up with some way to measure this out in Space Engineers, and I cannot for the life of me think of a way that will work. Because you can't project subgrids, I can't project this curve on a projector. Otherwise, that's what I would have done. I would have set it up with all these curves on little rotors and marked it out that way, because then I could have followed that projection all the way through. But because you can only project a single grid, that's not going to work. I think I might have gotten the arc right this time. It's definitely not a typical kind of solution to a problem that I'm coming up with here. I feel like it's kind of frustrating because I'm trying so hard to come up with a better way of doing this, and I just for the life of me cannot think of a method that would get this to work first time. I really, really wish I could, because I like coming up with those clever sort of proper solutions to these sorts of problems. I think if I were to do this again, what I would do is actually start the whole process for making the tram before I even thought about building the solar tower, so that I could get to approximately where I want to be and then just build from that bit of track, so that I'm not having to line up two ends that have already been built. Where are we at? Oh, we are so very close. I wonder if what I'm going to have to do is move this whole contraption an extra couple of blocks across, because that's something I can do and I didn't think about before. It gives me a bit of extra play. Because if this station just needs to be over a little bit because of how I've lined it up, that's fine. But I think I may even... Yeah, I may need to come across one or maybe two blocks. Oh, yes, I'm so close. Alright, so that's half a block across from... So it's... Where's the edge of it? Okay, the edge of the track will be 2.5 blocks out from this row here. Let's see where that would put us. 2.5 blocks. 2.5 would be edge of track here. That's actually pretty good. Yeah. That totally works. Alright. I think I've got enough bits and pieces on the tram to be able to construct pistons and things. So we can start working on the mechanism for this elevator. Instead of it being a full-on elevator initially, I might just test and see if I can line something up first, because I don't know how many. No, that's silly. Build the whole thing in one go. So we probably don't want to extend this section really more than maybe one block, and then the rest of it will be on the pistons. So I might just do this as 3. Which I may regret later, but I think we'll just make the transition onto this curve a bit nicer. And then we need to work out how many blocks high this is and how many blocks it's going to take us to get up to level with the platform. That'll give us how many pistons we need vertically. I then need a piston horizontally to align just that half block over. And a rotor... Actually, maybe I'll put a couple of pistons horizontally. Starting on this side. Because then, what I could do... Actually, let's have a look. I was just thinking about the track for the silo and how I'll connect it to the solar axe. Oh man, that curve looks awesome. Just as a kind of, you don't see curves in Space Engineers sort of way. So the silo is on the left, but what I could do is start its track on the right here and then go over this other one, which I think will be easier because this curve's quite tight, so I don't want to have to put a curve on this side of it. I'd much rather have it on the outside, which means if I have enough length of piston sideways to push this section of track over to start the silo one or bring it back to be on this one, that'll be perfect. What that means is that the section of track for the elevator is going to have the piston on top of the elevator pistons. This will all make sense once I'm actually doing it. Okay, so how many blocks high do I need to go? I'm starting at this level. We've got 1, 2, 3, 26. So that's 7 pistons. And I think having 2 horizontal pistons will give us plenty of room to work with for lining up the extra track. We probably only need 1. In fact, we definitely only need 1. Because the tracks don't actually have to be that far apart. So 7 vertical, and then on top of that, I reckon we put just 1 piston. Because then we can have a track on, say, this block, which will be the 1/2 meter, so I can then go 3.5 blocks further than that, so that'll be 1 block, 2 block, 3 will be fine. Cool. So this will have 8 pistons on this elevator. Oh man. And since the horizontal pistons are going to have to go all the way to the top of the elevator, I'm going to want to be careful about how I line them up. I knew this station thing would be a challenge, but I don't think I'd quite appreciated how big an elevator I'd need. If I hadn't done all of that gain in altitude to get up to here, can you imagine how big this lift would have been? It would have been enormous. I'm going to fly back. I'm going to come back with as many bottles as I can carry. Oh no, there's a drifting pursuant coming in. This is a point to bring up a derpy thing that I had done. So, Shift K, terminal, camera, view. I didn't need to do any more than that. So easy. I didn't need to go crazy and build a chair or chase down a point to connect to because I could have used the camera. Don't know why I had it in my head that I needed a remote control for that to work, but I did. I am a bit nervous about heading up here with that drifting pursuant coming in, but I think we'll just check. I think it'll have to head past the base within range of the base's turrets in order to get there. What we can probably do, if I'm paying enough attention, is use the antenna on the tram to piggyback into the camera and view from here. If I make the tram's antenna reach far enough. Now drifting pursuant's at 4.67k, so it's almost where we need to start watching from the camera. But for our pistons, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a row running down like this, probably 3, maybe 4 this way, and then 3 coming back this way. The reason the last ones come back this way is I'd prefer for the ones near the top to be lined up on this row closer, whereas these ones down the bottom, if they were at the top, they'd be too far over, and that would be a problem. And I don't think we've got 14 blocks of clearance in order to let us actually have... Is that going away? No. I don't think we've got 14 blocks of length to allow us to put them all in one single row, which was kind of what I was hoping initially. I'm going to have to bring the butterball or at least the ugly duckling down here to do some of this drilling, because doing this by hand is not going to end well, because I guarantee there will be some small pieces of voxel left behind that will make the elevator explode. So I've placed down 8 pistons here. I know I said I needed 7, but I'm kind of nervous that I'll end up needing the 8th anyway. And it's going to be a major hassle to add an extra one when I could just put an excess one in now. So that's our horizontal piston to allow for our alignment. And I know it's going to have to kind of come back a bit, but I think for the top end that's better. So then we go with... Why don't we do a half block here? Half block. Then go with one of these. Ah, nuts. All of those pistons have stacked up to equal more than a block. More than half a block. I was kind of hoping to not be able to see this piston from the top, but looks like we will have to. Unless, actually, better idea. Why can I hear machinery now? I don't think that's going to go away. Alright, time for a reload, because that is a bug that I have noticed lately. That drifting pursuant looks like it's getting too close. Let's watch this one from above, rather than watching from the camera. I know it's kind of cool to watch it properly with the camera, but I'm really interested to see what happens here. So that's the final ridgeline it has to make it across, and then it just heads straight for the axe. You can see it in the distance. Let's see if it has enough damage. Probably should check that ammunition before I let this happen. This is not good. This is rather nerve-wracking. Oh, it's taking fire. It's taking a lot of fire. Is it taking enough, though? Come on, go down! Still taking fire. I think my sandbags are the only things still hitting it. Oh no, it's shooting my tower! It got some shots off. It's coming down hard. Oh boy, how much damage did it do? I never even finished those turrets. Right. So that's a thing. The drifting pursuants can make it here, and they do damage. So if I see one coming in, I have to bug back home so that it doesn't come all the way out to the tower. Now, I was being overcautious going with an extra piston. Let's ditch the extra piston. Because without the extra piston, I've got enough room to put a piston in here. Then a piston in like so. And that'll allow us to get our alignment that we need. And it's well below the surface, so it'll be pretty hidden. Alright, the drifting pursuant is getting close. I need to switch back. I need to head back home. Yep, let's fly back. So I don't think I got time to get in the tram. I don't want any more damage to the axe, and I am willing to chance hurrying, flying down this tube. 4.8, 4.7. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Gotta get home, gotta get home. Gotta make sure it doesn't come after the axe again. Bend is coming up. That antenna is really handy for marking out where the bend starts. Alright. We're downstairs now. Good. Let's get into the camera. Terminal. Camera. View. For those of you wondering how I got the locked camera to a drone like this, it is through spamming the key combination for moving at the instantaneous velocity or something like that. If I'm probably using the wrong terms here. But if you press shift middle mouse, the spectator cam will move at exactly the same direction and speed that the object you're looking at is moving. So if I keep doing that and I do it regularly enough, the camera looks like it follows the drone perfectly, or at least really closely. So that's what I've kind of done. I'm holding down shift and I'm clicking middle mouse an awful lot. If someone knows a better way of doing it, let me know. But this seems to be the best way that I've come up with. It works pretty well. It's just really tiring. Oh, gunfire. Yeah, it's not going to survive this run. Oh, there goes its turret. It's just a floating husk now. And down she goes. Okay. Oh, there's another one? What the heck? This thing doesn't normally spawn this many. Alright, let's watch this one from the camera properly, rather than cheating. No, actually, let's try and get a different perspective, but still with the cheaty spectator cam. Oh, nuts. I was trying to be underneath it, but I keep clipping through the terrain, and then when I press shift middle mouse, it stops, because I'm technically looking at the planet. Might get some more height, and then this will work. No! Whoa! I think I clipped the tree. That's not going to end well for it. Oh. Look at that crossfire. I got split in half before it even hit the ground. There is nothing left of that one. With this lift section of track, what I want to do is eventually have two of these arches supporting the upper piece of track. Potentially even a full ring. But for now, we'll just leave it as the arches. Oh, no, I don't want full ring. Full ring won't work. I may even ditch the top rail for this, to be honest. No, I think it'll be safer having a top rail, actually. Because if the elevator is moving too fast, the tram could theoretically fall off if it's not actually held in place. Although I could lock it in place with a landing gear or something like that, or a connector. That would potentially make it move on the elevator a bit more smoothly and safely. There we go, that should work. Now, we need to drill out a whole lot of space above us, and we need to weld up all those pistons so that we can try and test this elevator out. Aww, I missed an opportunity here. I could have added some massive drills to the top of the elevator and just drilled out its own shaft. Dang it. That would have been so much easier. Alrighty, pistons are all done. And now, I need to settle them up. Using build vision is one of the easiest ways to line up things like this, because you can make small adjustments while actually watching it from whatever angle suits. And that's probably right for that piston. So this piston is not going to need to move again. This piston, I reckon we can return to its 0 point, which will put this whole thing roughly in line with the blocks above as the rest of the elevator moves, and we'll barely notice that it's happening. Oh yeah, nice. Let's try and drive on. That looks pretty well ready, and then we can slowly move up and see how high we actually go. Let's go to that. Let's turn on our welders so we can weld this up as we go. And let's drive in. Turn my camera so I can see what the welder's doing. Oh, this is a scary moment. I am now, I believe, entirely on the elevator. Alright. Our tram is on our elevator. Now, let's have a look. Is there anywhere I think that isn't completely cleared yet? And yeah, this end is not clear. How about this end? Don't think that it is either. I think we'll need to clear out both. Oh, we are so close. We are so very, very close to this being in. That should be easily enough. Okay. Famous last words, though. Let's land the ugly duckling. Turn off its thrusters. Let's test out this elevator. Alright. First off, we will move. I think I've got this set up properly. Yep. So this one we will reverse. And we can probably do this one at the same time. That won't be too fast. Up we go. Looking good. No, we're not. We're stuck over here. It's very anticlimactic doing it this way. It's so slow. It's not like doing the first elevator run and it's like, yeah, this is all working. I get to ride the whole thing up the whole way. I don't even have an antenna and a programmable lock on the solar axe, so I can't actually use a remote controller, which is what I want to do. So why are you showing up red? You got damaged. Where's the power for the pistons coming from? We're getting midnight power right now. I think I brought some batteries, some power cells with me. I did. Let's go fix that up so that it's working again. Ah. Well, that's irritating. Look at where I lined that up. I lined it up with... rats. I think I'm going to need to put these on the other side anyway. So this next one, what I'm going to do is set our maximum height. Set our maximum height to 5 meters, then extend it. And then we'll just gradually increase the maximum height until we're in the position that we want to be in. Oh wait, I don't need to go all the way up. I need to get the... It's not the track that needs to be level with this. What am I thinking? I can go another block and a half lower than this. Because it should line up with a connector that's placed on here. If I go like that and then place a connector there, we should in theory be able to line up with that. Now I know the alignment left to right, like we are looking down right now, is wrong, but that's that one piston that I was planning on having correct itself as it goes up and down, so it'll reverse with the rest of them. I'd say we leave it there. Cool. Nice, nice, nice. Now, let's go for the real test. Pistons. All of them. Piston 3 is a different piston. I don't know what piston 3 is. Oh, piston 3 is the glass elevator. Glass elevator. I was wondering what that second piston was. Alright, now we'll grab the rest of them. Not it. And this will be our tram lift. Save. Tram lift. Let's set all of our velocities to 0.2 because I want this to go nice and slowly. And then let's hit reverse. Okay, that wasn't particularly slow at start. It's not too bad. It's going well so far. Oh yeah. We have our tram elevator and it is working. We have a track that gets all the way to the solar axe and took a little more effort to get that working than I was anticipating, but I probably should have expected it to be this difficult, since it was trying to line up some curves and getting into the station perfectly. But it's ended up working much better than I thought it would, and even though I brute forced it and couldn't come up with a clever way of doing it, I'm still happy that it's worked out. Next time, we need to work on getting the battery loading set up for the tram functional, and the battery carrying tram functional as well, which means we've got to get this tram onto a separate piece of track. So I think what we'll do is we'll start building the section of track for the silo, just the first straight bit, load this in there, and then we can just leave it resting there while we build the rest of the tram. So there's that, and plenty more to come. And I'll see you then.